The Citizens Bank studio right here on Biloxi's Back Bay. I want to welcome our listeners, not just for the Mississippi Gulf Coast, but also from Jackson and the Mississippi Delta, as we continue to celebrate the men and women who are working so hard to make Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. Hey, listen, throughout my career as the publisher of the Sun-Herald, I always spent a lot of time focusing on the military community. At the Sun-Herald, we actually published the Keesler News for the Keesler Air Force Base and the CB Courier for the Naval Construction Battalion base, the CBs in Gulfport. And we were always super active and involved in the Salute to the Military event, which was a unique event, unlike any other that happens anywhere in America. Throughout it all, though, I came to really appreciate the role that the CBs played, not just around the world, but also here for rapid response and disaster relief. You see it after every storm, but certainly after Hurricane Katrina. They played such a great role in sort of helping coastal Mississippi get back on its feet. I am thrilled today to have the new skipper, Captain Anna Franco, joining me. She's the head of the Naval Construction Battalion Center in Gulfport, and we're thrilled to have her. How you doing, Anna?
Hey, Ricky. It's great to be here with you today.
Well, look, you've been all over. You spent some time in Miami. You came here from San Juan, Puerto Rico. You even did a gig at Camp David, and you're not the first one that I've talked to who actually went through Camp David. But as you mentioned before we started the show, this is only the first time that you've been somewhere two times, and that was just here in Gulfport. But you've had a long journey, haven't you?
I have, yeah. So, 20 plus years of serving in the Navy in different capacities throughout the world, overseas, here in the United States. And like you said, this is the first time that I've ever come back to a duty station. So excited to be back on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. If you would have asked me 25 years ago, did I see myself ever coming to the Mississippi Gulf Coast to command the CB base? I would have probably said no. But my last tour here definitely gave me some insight about this incredible community, and I couldn't wait to get back.
I think this is for people who are regular listeners. They hear me sort of harp on the role the CBs play around the world, but as if we were to go back 6 months and just look at the number of Navy personnel that have come through the CB base in Gulfport, they've literally moved all over the world, haven't they?
We do. So, on any given day, we have a CB battalion that's forward deployed, spread across Europe, spread across the Pacific, in Africa, literally all over the world. And, they're out there making sure that our units are ready in case of, needed response, engineering support on the ground, whether it's a Pacific island or, doing port damage or airfield damage repairs. Our CBs stand ready 24/7, 365 days a year to be able to answer our nation's call.
And you really do mean it. It could be military base construction. It could be, doing work in challenging environments. It could be involved in international relationships and partnerships. It could be, rapid response, as I mentioned, after disasters. You both have military missions you're involved with and humanitarian missions. Some you can talk about it. Some you can't talk about. We're not able to know exactly where they are. But with the war in Ukraine that's taking place and the unrest that we're currently seeing in the Middle East, predictably there'll be roles for CBs to play in all of that in time, it seems. But it's significant the roles that you play, isn't it?
No, absolutely. We definitely live in uncertain times, and the CBs throughout their histories, dating back to World War II, they play a vital role in enabling really the warfighter to be able to carry out its mission. The reality is airplanes are going to have to land again to get refueled. Ships are going to have to pull into port to also, potentially have to resupply. So the CBs are key enablers for these warfighters to be able to carry out their mission anywhere in the world, really. As I think back throughout my career, I've had the pleasure of performing humanitarian type projects, but I've also had the opportunity to deploy in different areas where the construction work that our CBs are doing are again enabling the warfighter to be able to carry out the mission anywhere in the globe.
Construction, engineering, infrastructure development, and a long list of other capabilities. You guys can do it. And, when CBs retire in coastal Mississippi, they typically get employed pretty quickly because they tend to be jacks of all trade. They can do so much different kinds of stuff, and they make great employees because they've learned in the trenches, literally, how to do this well. So listen, for people who don't know about the CB base, we've often referred to it as a city. You're literally the mayor of a city. But tell people about the number of people that are there, how they come through there, how many people are employed there. Just give us a sense of that.
Absolutely. So, like you said, the base it's a city in and of itself within a city. We can pretty much self-sustain ourselves. We've got everything from our operational units. We have gymnasiums. We have our security forces, which would be equivalent to our police, the local police department. We have our own fire department to be able to respond to emergencies here on base. One of the primary missions of the base is to get those operational CB units ready to deploy. So a lot of training. On any given day, you can drive around the base and see some of our units doing command post exercises, doing construction exercises. Again, just practicing here in a very low stress environment, the things that they may have to exercise if they go overseas. We have our own retail facilities. So the Navy Exchange or commissary is like the grocery store. We have our own child development center and youth centers to take care of the kids and the family members for our service members. So again, we're essentially a city within a city here at the CB base.
Cafeterias and what I hear is great food and some people who take a lot of pride in what they're doing. One of the things that I bet you're really focused on, that is the role of every new head that comes in there, is the outreach into the community. For example, you're in Gulfport, so your relationship with the mayor of the city of Gulfport and the administration is really important to you guys, isn't it?
I mean, absolutely. We could not do what we do here at the base without the support of the city of Gulfport. I mean, we're neighbors also to the city of Long Beach, Harrison County, the folks at Harrison County as well. So, we recognize that it's so important to have a positive relationship with all of those that are immediately around us, the border of the base, and also the members of our community. Many of them live out in the community. We do have houses. In fact, I live here on the installation, but the vast majority of our sailors and men and women that work here on the base, they live in the community. So it's absolutely critical to have a close relationship. I've had an opportunity to meet with the mayor of the city of Gulfport, Mayor Mathews, and in the short time that I've been on board, met with many other community leaders, both elected and appointed, that really make the Mississippi Gulf Coast just a phenomenal place for us to work and operate from.
Well, one of the things that, and I'm sure they have discussed this with you, or if they haven't, what's behind their passion for the military, and this is community leaders, this is elected leaders, is that if you go to the history of coastal Mississippi and the relationship coastal Mississippi has had with this military community and its bases, has been the reality that we understand that it is a very symbiotic relationship, that is really a partnership. So, like, for example, when the base realignment and closure committees were doing their work, we were very focused in coastal Mississippi about how we could respond to that in a way that said the community not only embraces the military bases that are here, but that we're very focused on not encroaching in any way on their mission. We want them to be able to do what they do and do it well. You think about Stennis Space Center, this incredible center over there. It's hard to, even today, for me to get my head around the amount of land they set aside so they could do engine testing there and not encroach on the communities around them. You think about the incredible relationship that Keesler has with Biloxi, the relationship you guys have with the city of Gulfport, the role that the National Guard plays here in coastal Mississippi, and then we can't leave the important work that the other divisions of the military are doing as well. But we appreciate you guys, and that's one of the reasons this worked over so many years. Hey, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Captain Anna Franco and hear a little bit about the journey she went on that brought her back to the CB base in Gulfport. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Citizens Bank studio. I'm visiting with my new friend, Captain Anna Franco, who's head of the Naval Construction Battalion Center in Gulfport, or the CB base. We know it as the CB base. And we talked about this, literally a city that sits in Gulfport, and the role that she plays as sort of the mayor of this city, and the important work that the CBs are doing all around the world. I mean, I can't overstate how important their work is. I can't overstate how important the work of the military across the state of Mississippi is. I mean, the work that they're doing, and the private and public sector are proud to have them in the state and do everything in our power to help them feel at home when they're here. That's why, Anna, one of the main things when someone retires, no matter if they've come through Gulfport and they retire in other places, they want to come back here. The way that Mississippi embraces the military retirement community is among the best in the entire United States. So let's take a step back for a second. You went to University of Miami. You also went to University of Florida. You sort of knew early on that you wanted to do this, but how early on did you realize you wanted to get in the Navy?
So I think I was probably a sophomore in college getting my engineering degree at the University of Miami when I realized I wanted to do something that was bigger than myself. This was back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, and the tech boom was happening during that time. And I could have easily gone to work for any of the big, tech firms, IBM, definitely any of the defense contractors. But I wanted to serve my country. And I got a letter in the mail from the Navy recruiter, and went and visited with them. And I was sold on the opportunity that they were offering. And I thought it was going to be maybe a 4 to 5 year stint, get some experience under my belt, and then go off and do something different. But really, the people is what has kept me in for as long as I've been serving at this point.
So, as most people do, when you enroll, you get a lot of you get a lot of experience pretty quickly, a lot of training. You spent time in South Carolina, you spent time in California and Virginia, but you also spent time in Guam and Thailand and Spain. And it's always interesting to hear the perspective that you have when you go and get that experience, when you get to go to other places, particularly places outside the U.S., it gives you a strong sense of how small the world really is, doesn't it?
It really does. And it makes you realize that we all impact each other. Again, I've had the opportunity to really travel all over the world, and I think it's also given me a bigger appreciation for what we have here in the U.S. I'll never forget living in Italy and taking for granted that I should have put gas in my car on a Sunday. Well, all the gas stations were closed on Sunday, and so I was getting a little nervous there because I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to make it home. But just something as simple as that, it really does make you appreciate what we have here in the U.S.
Well, from Italy, actually, you came down to Key West, which incidentally, my family and I, that's one of our, in the U.S., it's one of our little home away from homes. We love to go to Key West, but that was a good gig for you there. And then from there, you actually went to the presidential retreat at Camp David. And as I mentioned, you're not the first captain of the Air Force, of the Naval Construction Battalion unit who had some experience at Camp David. But did you pinch yourself when you were in that assignment?
I did. It's a very selective process to as you're being interviewed to be potentially one of the service members that get to go up there and serve our commander in chief. Most people don't realize that Camp David is a Navy installation. And again, I think the most memorable part of that tour was just the people that we had the opportunity to serve with. Obviously, at the highest level of the Department of Defense, being able to support the commander in chief, but also getting to serve him and see him in his different roles as the chief executive as well as the head of state. So just, one of those opportunities that never in my wildest dreams when I was sitting at the University of Miami did I think that I would get that opportunity. And while I was there, again, amazing, getting to work with amazing people and, being able to do some pretty incredible things.
Well, you served as executive officer there for about 2 years, and it was during President Obama's first administration. But I can imagine being in that position and thinking to myself, wow, what an experience. I'm literally able to observe history in the making. You literally got to see that, didn't you?
I did. Just as I was getting ready to leave, we hosted the G8 summit up there. At one point, I think we had 14 world leaders aboard, and it was just amazing to see again the instruments of our country and those of our allies coming together to talk about issues that are common globally and how do we resolve those things and just amazing experience in being able to kind of look behind the curtain, if you will, at some of these leaders and the responsibilities that they have globally for their countries and, like I said, their allies.
You look at it would literally take a show for me to review all of the training opportunities that you've had, all the leadership opportunities you've had, all the places that you've been. But it is necessary really to really fully appreciate in your current role as the commander of the Naval Construction Battalion Center in Gulfport to see how all the pieces fit together and how critical the role is that the CBs play. Do you look back at all the experiences and training that you've had and I bet you appreciate it now in this current role?
I mean, I do, right? It's all about perspective. I like to remind folks that what may seem like a really big problem here, when you step back and you have that perspective that you can reflect back on and use those different experiences to maybe look at a problem from just a different angle. That thing that might seem like a Mount Everest type problem maybe is just a Mount Rainier kind of problem.
I get that. I really do get that. I mean, that's wisdom and experience. That's what that is, and being able to put things in perspective. And when you lead a base like you're leading now, that global perspective is really important because you've been to most of the places where these young men and women are going to have to go and are going to be deployed, and it helps you in your conversations with them. It helps you gain a perspective of the impact it has on their families. I mean, it's kind of unlimited, the perspective you have, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And, when you look at these young men and women here at the CB base and getting them ready for anything that our nation may ask us to do, them to do, I think it's important to have that trust in the leadership that they are preparing them in the best way possible, and not just them but their families, right? So I'm married. I've got two sons that that have memories of me being deployed for a long time. And so it's not just about us and making sure that we're, that wear the uniform, that we're prepared, but also making sure that the families are taken care of. And I think that's one of the biggest responsibilities I feel like I have here as the commander of the base is ensuring that they can go forward, do what they need to do to take care of whatever the nation needs them to take care of, but have the knowledge that their families back here, whether it's their spouses or their children, parents, are taken care of, and somebody's looking out for them while they're forward deployed.
So when you think about your prior experience here, when you were here before, and now you come back as a commander, what is the lasting impressions you had about Mississippians?
So I will tell you, this was the of all the places that I've been stationed, this was the place that I felt like I could call home. And so when I had the opportunity to make my request for where I'd like to go back to, I couldn't think of any other place that I would, enjoy coming back to and truly feel like I was coming back home. So we left 5 years ago. We spent 5 years in D.C. And I recall about a year before taking command, getting the opportunity to come here to the coast to participate in a friend's retirement ceremony, a fellow Navy officer. And I could just feel the weight of the world kind of lifting off my shoulders, and I was able to take a deep breath, and I truly felt like I was back home. So we were excited to get the news that we'd be able to come back here, and just the hospitality and the sheer excitement of folks as I've made my rounds around the base. People genuinely excited to have us back. I'll just say that it's great to be home.
Listen, it has been a pleasure catching up with you. I look forward to staying in touch. And the next time we come together, we'll talk more specifically about some of the things that are happening on the base today. But it's been a pleasure, Captain Anna Franco, to spend some time with you today.
It's been a pleasure as well, Ricky. Look forward to it.
You bet. This has been the commanding officer for the Naval Construction Battalion Center in Gulfport. Have a good day, Anna. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Grammy Museum. We'll see you after this.